Okay, what we got? Dust. Immediately. Golden Compass AU. The substance could not be called rare in hometown. Immediately. Golden Compass AU. Shattered. Indeed, many of the hometown's residents produced dust. When removed from a body in which there was life, any bodily part would soon be reduced to dust by the absence of life to keep it intact. Fur, scales, horns, all would be shed, and all would decompose, falling to dust. But with this rot, beauty would soon follow. With the turn of the season came not only dust, but a new luster to one's coat of fur. With the old scales shed, a new shiny mail would be revealed. With the death of that which was no longer of benefit, new beauty would spring forth. That's not the opening paragraph I expected. Alright. Who is this? This is Blackwater, right? Yeah, Blackwater wrote this. Weird. Can I... There we go. But not all dust was natural, nor a prelude to beauty. Such dust was instead the result of death, the destruction of an entity who still had much to offer the world around them. From this dust naught but grief could be derived. These thoughts and many more did not pass through the mind of the cloaked individual. Instead, the entity was filled with only one thing: determination. The goat's corpse rested atop the pedestal, its entrails replaced by an urn filled with dust. Okay. 0 to 100 real fast here. Beneath it, a large pentagon had been meticulously inscribed into the ground, with lit candles on each point. Raising a long, ornate blade overhead, the figure began chanting a single name. Asriel, Asriel, Asriel. The blade, tip pointed downward and now glowing with golden light, was plunged toward the urn. The blade fell, its glowing point rapidly approaching the urn with intent to shatter. Bonk! The blade was deflected off a pair of ice skates hanging from the ceiling. Wait, is this the fucking election trucking lore? This is Asgore's back room. Long forgotten by their owner. Led by the blade's diverted momentum, the figure tripped over a nearby box and fell headlong on the floor, the knife skittering out of reach and nicking a nearby broom. This is really weird. This revision dedicated to Nell, the most dedicated fan— Stop it! Stop it! Fuck, Opium Pants solemnly ejaculated. Yep. If you've ever read Sherlock Holmes, he uses this word constantly, just as a synonym for said. You can actually use the word like that if you're, I don't know, if you're living in 1820 or something. Piss! Pizzapants pissed. This had been his one chance, his singular opportunity to return his lost love to this world, but he had ruined it. Even he knew that ceremonial daggers were one-time use only, and on his meager wages, he could never hope to afford a new one, even if that bony Hans guy at the grocery store offered another sale. What does that remind me of? One-time use daggers. I feel like that's... Why does that seem familiar? It could be a reference to some like old NES game even, but... Maybe the knife and Binding of Isaac Repentance? I'll go with that. Someone says, Pizzapants. For a moment, he dared not believe his ears. Surely he had failed, and Asriel remained dead. So much work had been wasted. Indeed, Opium Pants had personally prepared a new Caprine form for him, had read of the arcane rituals of resurrection, and swept the piles of dust into the urn himself. The broom. Somehow, through either unbelievable luck or the guidance of Taiki herself, that really strong Elden Ring summon? I heard she's like meta. And yes, I do pronounce it Taiki, because it seems more Greek or something. Who knows? The blade had injected Pants' determination into the broom, which maintained a thin layer of Azzy's dust, which it had swept off the floor. This thin dusting of dust, formerly a little more than a mark of life lost too soon, had been imbued with new life by the discounted but startlingly high-quality ceremonial blade. Gazing up, Opium-Pants gave the broom a visual once-over. Where once had been a normal-looking broom with a face on its head, now gazed back at him. This is the worst Azzypants fic ever. It's just Asriel is a broom. That's the premise. What? What is that? What the fuck is that? Asriel. Opium-Pants jumped up, narrowly avoiding an impromptu lobotomy by the skates swinging over his head. He ran to the broom, which was now looking up at him with tearful eyes. Pants, what happened? Where are we?
We're in your dad's storage room, buddy. For what happened, let me tell you.
Pants's facial expressions changed to a different facial expression. Why is that the funniest thing I've ever read? Why is that so fucking funny? His facial expression changed to a different facial expression.
I defy death itself, becoming the god I always deserved to be.
His face changed again, a cigarette appearing in his mouth that the game's ESRB rating would claim was filled with tobacco, but was actually stuffed with wheat, as evidenced by the appearance of a W above his head, where his uniform-mandated hat would be if he worked somewhere where his hats were part of the uniform. Holy shit. But he's Opium-Pants, right? You'd have to be smoking crack or something. Out of a crack pipe. Or however you smoke crack. He's not, cannabinoid pants. I hurt my chest laughing at that, wow. Pulled the Germa. Stop editing it.
Let me tell you, buddy. You were lucky being dead past these few months. No existence, no homework.
Excuse me.
No existence, no homework. Nobody bothered you with complaints that their gamer blood slurpee causes Gygus encounters, or whatever they're called, to check their immediate vicinity. Must have been nice. Now it's time to come back. I've missed you, Azzy. We've all missed you.
So you brought me back to life? Asriel inquired. An ant in Michigan ate a crumb. It did? Huh.
Yep. You and I, we're together forever, buddy. I could never go to Boston University without you by my side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Me going to college with you? Pants, I know that was always the plan, but Asriel's eyes glanced upward in an attempt to gesture to the rest of his broom body. I don't think that can happen anymore, I'm sorry. Pants's face shrank and traveled back to the bottom left of his sizable head in sadness, before he looked back down to Asriel with a faint smile. This is the only fic so far that I've seen capture the magic of, like, Pants's dialogue sprites in a unique written word kind of way.
It'll be alright, Azzy. I'll learn how to be an actor who always plays the role where I have a broom. Yeah. Then we can always be together.
His smile grew. He'll play exclusively witches. You were definitely giving Asriel a British accent? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Pants, if that's really what you want. I'm happy to be by your side. Asriel smiled softly. Ba-da-ba-ba.
Thank you, Azzy.
Filled with passion, gratitude, and love, Pants leaned in and delivered a soft kiss to the top of Asriel's head, which was the same as the head of the broom. Asriel puckered up, intending to reciprocate, but found himself unable to lean forward due to being a broom made of solid wood and plastic. Seeing the gesture, Pants leaned in and began snogging the broom, an action that would be concerning to an outside observer out of context. Jesus Christ. This is what happens when you don't know how to write romance. Apparently so. Was there any romance in election trucking? I don't think there was. Fuck me if I know how to write it either. Action. It's George Lucas, I assume. Action. How does he speak? Oh, I may have gone too far in a few places. Action. Action. I don't know. The entity now known as Azzypants, following a freak accident involving a failed attempt to smuggle hundreds of tiny actors out of prison, charged forth with Asriel in his hand. Was that a reference to something or just completely random? I don't know. With all of the strength he could muster, which was very little, and gleaming with gross furry sweat under his homemade samurai armor, he swung the broom toward the dummy, planning to narrowly miss for the sake of the broom's inhabitant. Unfortunately, due to Deltarune being a Game Maker RPG, there was no drop shadows, so his depth of perception was non-existent. Crack. Hot chills enveloped Pants' body, a silent panic setting in. Somehow, after all of the hard work and effort he had expended to become the world's first and only broom-wielding guy typecasted actor, he had done the unforgivable. He had hurt his close friend and lover, for whom he had originally set out on his journey originally. He was offered little opportunity to think on this, however, as he procrastinated filming for this capstone project. Geniturai. Janitor Samurai. Janitorai. Right. He was forced to continue filming the scene so it would be done by the deadline. Wonderful. The broom Asriel sounds like it would come out of the Spamton sweepstakes. It's really fucking cursed. Yeah, it's really bad. Several hours later, like, what does this remind me of? It's like resurrected as a fucking broom. It's like some sort of like anime shitpost where you just see like a default like anime girl face, just like, you know, mouth and two eyes superimposed on a random object to make it a waifu. That's what this feels like. Maybe I'm thinking of the Joseph Anderson streams where the chat always defined, like, in Death Stranding, the motorbike was Bike-chan, and it like anthropomorphized it in all the fan art. Kind of the same vibe. Quantum Moon-chan as well in Outer Wilds. Got kind of weird. Huh. Several hours later, Actor Pants returned to his flat. He raced to his supply closet and grabbed the spare broom handle, apologizing profusely to Asriel, and swearing equally profusely at his own incompetence. But he would make this right. I love how deranged Pizzapants is. He's just implicitly a complete nutcase.
Bad Pizzapants! Bad Pizzapants! I failed you, Asriel!
But he would make this right. He sat down on the floor, not feeling like he truly deserved the sofa or even a chair. He held Asriel in his hands.
Azzy, I'm sorry. I made you come along with me all this way, but now you're hurt.
Tears began to well up in Pants' eyes. Pants' eyes? And his voice began to crack with emotion, as opposed to cracking with prepubescence. Asriel looked up at Pants softly, his mouth pulled into a sad smile. Pants, thank you for your concern. That's part of why I love you. You care for others. But I'm fine. After all, this handle's been scratched since the day I woke up in it. How much could a little crack really matter? Don't worry yourself with little old me. This is fucking weird. Gollum Pizzapants. I didn't really nail the Gollum. I'll be the first to admit that it was kind of a miss. Good. Fucking Vinny streaming that Gollum game and doing the Gollum voice 10,000 times better than the actual voice actor was quite an experience to watch.
No, precious, there is no Zelda noise. The Zelda noise doesn't exist, precious.
Pants, reassured by Asriel's words, wiped away his tears and gazed lovingly into Asriel's eyes.
Still, I messed up. It's time to fix this.
With one last hug, Pants grabbed the handle of the sentient broom and began unscrewing it from the head. Asriel did not react, as per the maturity recommendations of Elder Council member Sir Mel Walnut. Oh god. Oh god. As he screwed the handle into the broom's head, however, Pants noticed that something looked off about Asriel's expression.
Hey Azzy, are you sure everything's alright?
A brief pause. Yeah, I suppose so. As he yawned. Pants could tell this was a lie, so he responded in the only way he knew how to.
Would you like some opium?
An expression of puzzlement spread over the goat groom's face. Opium? Where did you get that?
That's my fucking name, dipshit. I have it.
Is this broom sexual? At least broom platonic so far. Or maybe broom romantic? That's the right term. Pants chuckled.
Remember when I worked at Icy's? I used the money from that to buy some of the Froggen Mafia way back then.
Buy some from the Froggen Mafia.
Then they got busted by the cops, and the pizzeria went out of business around the same time. I kept some stashed away for emergencies.
A moment of quiet contemplation passed over his face before his features morphed into an indescribable look of realization.
Hey, Azzy, do you think the Mafia could still be using Icy's as a front? Azzy?
Pence looked down at the broom in his hands and realized that its eyes were closed with a peaceful expression on his face. Pants smiled to himself before picking up Asriel and carrying him to bed. Twisted. Deeply twisted. Opium Pants was only arrested in the timeline where Asriel isn't a broom. Yeah, that makes sense. What is this music? It's a Toho Lo-Fi, which is now too quiet. It was previously too loud, so I turned it down. Now it's too quiet. Hang on. That's good. I wish they gave you more fine volume control in YouTube. The next morning, Pants woke up. Turning over, he planted a smooch atop the broom's head.
Good morning, Azzy. Ready to face another day of unbearable boredom, stress, and the drudgery of life as a college student?
He chuckled slightly to himself.
Of course, that's not really true. As long as you're here, I can face every day head on.
Pants smiled, then looked down at the broom. It didn't respond.
Azzy? Azzy?
What the fuck is that? What is that thing? Like an interrobang, but it's one symbol? Where did you get that? Pants began shaking the broom, trying to wake it up. Then he noticed something odd. The side of the broom, which normally held the furry-looking but plastic-textured face of Asriel, now appeared to be a normal broom head. He considered calling 911 before realizing that the average hospital is not used to dealing with inanimate objects imbued with life. He began to think, an action that he usually tried to do as little as possible, and came to what seemed to be a reasonable conclusion. Diving out of bed, he rushed into the kitchen and retrieved the damaged broom handle from the trash. Returning to his room, he replaced the new broom handle with the old one. As the threads of the screw-on handle slid between the threads of the broom's head, Asriel's face reappeared in the plastic. Pants let out a sigh of relief.
I thought I'd lost you, Azzy.
The broom looked up at him and gave a reassuring smile. Sorry to have upset you. After you replaced part of me, I guess I just didn't feel like my usual self, you know? But now that I'm back to normal, we can make plans for this weekend. A sultry expression steadily began to appear on top of the broom. I know what I'm planning to do. What the fuck is happening? I don't know. This is the worst Azzypants fic ever. It says on the tin. He looked at Pants, whose face had begun to contort into a sly smile.
Yeah, I know what my plans are, too.
Just one thing first. Please get rid of that opium. It's not good for any of us.
Sure thing, buddy. Sure thing.
Susie. Susie Flashbane. Alright, Susie's here. Susie returned to the apartment after a long day's work, smelling of burger grease, fries, and sweat. As we know from the that one board on 4chan, Susie always, canonically, smells like sweat. It had been a long day at the restaurant, and she was looking forward to the unwinding over the weekend with her genius boyfriend. It is Umris compliant. I guess it was already election trucking compliant, which implies Umris, so... Okay.
It's Umris in time. Oh, yeah.
A minute later, she heard the doors... Oh, wait, no, I missed that. She looked at the window into the tumultuous Atlantic Ocean. Where the fuck is the Atlantic Ocean? A minute later, she heard a door slam behind her. She turned and saw Birdley with a plastic bag in his hand.
Hello, Susie. How was your day?
Long, tiring, and I'm glad to see you, she said, walking over and giving him a long, passionate kiss before pulling away, breathing hard.
I'm glad to see you too, Susie. I brought us something for this weekend.
He reached into a bag and retrieved a glass vial with some liquid in it. Susie's eyes widened slightly as Birdley smiled.
Oh yeah, that's the stuff.
She took the vial of opium and poured a hefty splash into a glass, along with some white wine. Susie, I don't think that's what you do with opium. Oh well, fuck it. Susie knows what she's doing. She sat down and watched the sunset, and Birdley soon followed.
Where'd you get this anyway?
She asked as she took a sip. Some weird feline upstairs. Wants to be an actor. Must have been even more stupid than most. He was practically giving it away. Birdley despised actors. He couldn't understand why anyone would willingly take up such a profession when society already dictated that one always had to put on airs for those around them already. I love you, humorous Birdley. The Birdley voice is perfect. It's really grown into its own thing, yeah. It originally felt a bit forced, but it's inseparable now with the concept of Birdley. Susie yawned, and Birdley could not help but being enamored by the glimpse of her long, white teeth shining in the light of the setting sun, sharp enough for the dragoness to tear him to shreds if she wanted to. He smiled and reached over, grabbing her thigh and giving it a squeeze.
You're a real pathetic fucker, you know that?
She said, a snarl visible on her face. Birdley looked at her and grinned, a hunger in his baggy eyes.
All right, let's do it,
Susie caved. And then they did indeed do it. That was the end of the fic. It's just like Susie and Birdley randomly fuck in an apartment. Excellent. I guess I didn't see it ending any other coherent way. That was weird as fuck, man. Author's note. As soon as I heard that an Azzypants stream was in the works, I knew I wanted to write an election trucking AU. This takes place after the events of Deltarune. The first part is in the same year as Deltarune, and the second part has Azzy and Pants in their final year of college. And Birdley and Susie in their second year. This is my second fanfiction ever, so I hope the vibes are precisely as atrocious as one would expect from someone whose only prior writing experience is that for Umras. They were atrocious. They were really horrible, but like good job though. I couldn't have thought of a premise as like deranged as this, I think. Where did this idea even occur to you? Like how did Asriel is a broom even pop into your head here?